Today's video, I mentioned that the most probable situation is that Bitcoin's getting ready to break back into a channel that it recently left, piercing above the daily 10 EMA, and that is happening right now as I'm looking at the chart. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to extend yesterday's analysis. If you missed yesterday's analysis, you can click it at the end because it's going to pop up, or if you want to watch it first, you can click this link right here. But what we're going to do is we're going to hone in. I'm going to add a couple layers, so we're going to essentially bake a cake here, and I'm going to show you more specific things and essentially advancing what we did yesterday so we can better be on our toes and have an idea of when probabilities start flipping. Ready? Let's get it. Here are the few layers we're going to use. We're going to use the daily 10, which is labeled here with this arrow, and it's flashing right now. It's also the 1 hour 200 EMA. It is the same line, right? The daily 21 EMA, okay, and I'm going to take off price. You can see that these two lines, they're getting closer and closer together. That's not bearish. Oftentimes, EMAs get close together, then price, it essentially squeezes next to it and does like a runway. Like if it were a plane, it does a landing kind of thing. It lands and then keeps going that direction. It does happen quite a bit, but I mean, in order to cross, which is bullish, it has to get close too. So it's not totally bearish what these two EMAs are doing. That could be a pretty powerful play. And as we know from yesterday's analysis, the daily EMA is still intact and climbing above. The daily RSI is above its RSI's 12 EMA and is climbing closer and closer to like a free breakup where that could produce thousands and thousands of dollars of upside action. It could, right? It has permission to do that. So we know that the permission to do something fairly bullish up to 35K or 34.8 is completely in the cards from yesterday's analysis. Now, we're going to start off with these three EMAs, the weekly 10, which is the upper target, daily 21, which is in the middle of the second and third, essentially, from yesterday, and the daily 10. And then obviously we're going to have price, and I'm going to go back to the 15-minute chart probably. Yeah, let's do that. Now, yesterday I drew this projector, and I promised everybody, look, because crypto loves 45-degree angles, here's probably where the daily 10 is going to be hit, because for some reason, it loves 45-degree angles, and it likes the daily 10. Like, look, I haven't moved it. I might have extended it slightly so it gets it. I think I brought it to here yesterday, so I think I made it. But you can go back to the video. It's exactly the same thing, but it's slightly longer. I didn't move it up. I didn't move it down. Nothing. I literally I think I just went like that, a tiny, tiny bit, because it was right here, and it just barely got into it. But it hit right as this projector was hitting this daily 10, and I drew this yesterday. It's right in there. And so now I can take this off. We're not going to use this today, but just to show you, this shit works. And I closed it already, but I walked away from my computer with limit sells here in futures, and boom, I walked to my computer and I got back at that candle there, and I closed them out thinking, oh shit, it's getting ready to go back up. So I got a nice little play. It's almost 1%. All my orders filled. Yeah, I got about, so among that 1.33%, I probably got 0.9% of play. I mean, and literally just walking away, and I think I had them there last night. Anyway, and I closed them really fast. So it was a good 80, 90 bucks with 10 seconds of work, right? All right, now, okay, I can delete that. We're not going to use that in this analysis. Let me zoom out. All right. Also, what we're working with here is this channel. I'm going to flash you my, somebody said, oh, you flashed us your micro channel. That was pretty funny. This channel right here. So we're essentially entering from the bottom, but we're getting back into this channel, which is about, let's say it's about a month old. This is May 12th, way back here. So that we're adding the layers slowly so we know what we're doing. And Bitcoin has been essentially rejected by the weekly or the daily 10, the daily 21 here. It got booted out by the daily 10 and 21, and now it's reapproaching the daily 10 and 21 and the bottom. So it's got triple resistance here, right? Okay. In yesterday's analysis, I did not use the daily 21. Instead, I used essentially a few horizontals. You can see here that price, if it were to hit the daily 21 exactly and get rejected, it wouldn't hit either horizontal. So if you want to get real specific, that could be an obstacle for Bitcoin before it then gets booted back out of here if it's not going to break up. Does that make sense? So if it stops between two horizontals and turns back around for potentially lower lows, that would be a strong candidate for it missing a horizontal. And I did not include that in yesterday's analysis. Let's go back in time. When was the last time that that daily 21 was hit? So we can take off the daily 10. Oh, I took off the wrong one. It was a month and almost a month to the day. So it was exactly a month ago that this happened. And it did wick above to what percent? Okay, about 1%. The previous time it hit it twice, 0.5 and 2%. And so those are the last 3 times it wicked above. So this is a potentially fairly, decent opportunity short, but you have to see how price interacts with it to know how to enter, right? Historically, it likes to wick above between 0.5 to 2%. What is this? This is 0.7% to the top and 0.6 to the middle. So that fits in almost perfectly with the idea that, well, actually, I would stick with these horizontals instead of, if I were, for example, trying to guess exactly where price is going to turn back around. Not necessarily trying to short if you're not accustomed to futures, but just guessing where it's going to turn around. Exactly at this line, I would say, it's probably better that you would guess the horizontal because it's going to attract price anyway. And a lot of people start becoming sellers at horizontals as opposed to EMAs. And Bitcoin has the habit of going above the EMA anyway before EMA folks like to become sellers. So it's probably going to hit that line. Therefore, even though it is possible that this gets it, it's there, but it's probably going to wick above, and it's just a good litmus test. Does that make sense? So it's in concert with each other that this horizontal will be hit as 2 types of sellers come into play. EMA sellers who like to short just above EMAs, and then horizontal sellers who like to become sellers at horizontals. So I would say 30,700 is probably a pretty good zone if you're looking for a turnaround zone for that reason. Now I can take back off the daily 21 EMA since we can feel confident that if it goes to it, it'll wick above it just a little bit, hit this horizontal anyway. Now we're left with all of this. Therefore, now we can say to ourselves, well, which horizontal is going to be the obstacle, if any? So let's start looking at what price is doing right now on this daily 10 EMA and on this green line. Is it using them as support? So we're going to go to the 3-minute chart and determine, well, is the first box even going to be hit? And if so, we need to be seeing things used as support. So honestly, this EMA is the battle line right now. It hasn't proved it as 100% support yet, and you got a few lower highs. This isn't convincing quite yet because neither the daily 10, which is this line, or this green line has been truly used as support. Honestly, it looks like it's going to try lower first and then reset some of its EMAs. I might actually try to short that. That doesn't look... And I actually will. Hold on a second. I might hit this and then set a really tight stop. Hold on a second. I might try that. And then I will do this right over this candle wick, 30,051. Give me a second. All right, cool. Yeah, it actually looks like it's going to try a little bit lower here because it's not using either as support. It's using these as resistance. It looks like, it could end up breaking back above it, right? So let's, but it looks like it's going to test down. Now, what I want you to do is this bearish as in I'm getting ready to catch a huge move? So let's think about this. Is it getting ready to turn down and start making lower lows yet or not? And how are we going to analyze that? Look at how prices interacted with that orange line before. How long does it like to play with it? And I'm thinking it's going to be a little longer than what it's playing with it right here. Okay, because this is a common line. If it's something up higher, like the weekly 10 that's touched a lot less, it could just wick up maybe once or twice within a few hours and then go straight back down. That's possible. But this line is too common. It's like food. It's something that is interacted with a lot. I think it's going to interact a little bit more, but let's test this, right? So even though it's getting ready to head down, it looks like right now, it's not using any of their support. That doesn't take this box off the table. Let's go back and see when price interacts with this line, orange line, how long does it interact with it? Let's go back a little bit, right? Let's start right here. it interacted with this line from that point to that point. That is only 2 hours. So in this case, it was a perfect short area. It barely just went up to it and went straight back down. The next time, though, I think that's an outlier. The next time it interacted with it for a whole day, right at 24 hours exactly. Do you see this? So all of this area is it played with it before going down for 24 hours. And I think this is a little bit more common. Here, price interacted heavily with that orange line before going down. How long was it? I mean, it looks like it's more than a day to me. Yeah, so a day and a half. Okay, the next time price interacted with it before going down more to make lower lows, it interacted with it. Let's count that right there, and let's count it right there. A day and 6 hours, over a day. The next time, it did just barely touch it, and then it went straight back down to make essentially lower closing lows on larger candles. The next time it interacted, it busted above. So that is 13 whole hours. Let's take a fractal of that. So that's kind of the middle point of what we could expect here, because we got a few that are over a day, only a couple that it just wicked up to. So let's, just for time frame sake, let's take a look. So does this fit within the idea that it's going to test down first, but still hit that box? Absolutely. Absolutely. And it could still hit that box. I mean, let's, which fractal? Yeah. So it could actually go quite a bit higher. I mean, look at all this crap. That would be crazy if the top of this fractal hit the weekly 10 exactly. So this is the same fractal. And if we got the same move as last time, which is probably not going to happen, let's see how this fractal interacts with all my stuff. Sometimes it's really freaky. I did not plan this. No, it does not get up to the weekly 10, but it gets up to this line almost exactly. All right. So in this fractal, it would look how perfect. Like this is just how price moves. Watch. It pulls back, hits my box, makes a higher low, skips a box, goes straight to the next one, calms down, also under that green line. So in the box and the line, then goes up to the next green line, then peters out. Right? Bitcoin moves like a machine. So a lot of times you can copy and paste past price, and it works with your future and out because it just moves very similarly to itself, right? It's like a clock. Therefore, it is completely on the table that if I were to short, since I actually did short this, I'm going to have to close my shorts relatively quickly. Maybe a higher low structure. I would want to close it higher than this, somewhere at a horizontal, maybe there. So I would want to be out of that trade by 29,828. And with the small position that I took, 9,828, 29,828. That'd only be about $100 of profit. Oh well, I'll do it anyway. Okay, yeah, that's a really, really small trade. But I need to be in and out of it very, very fast because I think it could easily come back up. All right, now, so I have my stop and my profit taking, so I can just let that ride. Okay, so even though it looks like it's going to get rejected one more time from both the green line and the daily 10, it could easily still pop up. The daily is supporting this. Okay, so this idea is supported by the daily. It's supported by low time frames, just structure. It's supported by the idea of how price interacts historically with this orange line or the daily 10. It just looks like it's going to continue going up. Are we making sense here? And this is, again, I'm not really changing the analysis from yesterday. This is an extension of it, so you can take the same analysis from yesterday and essentially examine it with different goggles or a different microscope or different lenses or whatever. That's what I'm trying to do here. I think it's still probable that Bitcoin marches a little higher. I'm thinking up to that second box at least for this move before it calms down. 30,700 it would be my target. It's possible that it just hits here and turns around, especially because it's Sunday. But I think before it turns around for heading into Monday, I think it's going to hit 30,700. So from yesterday, I said this box was my second most probable. But now that it looks like it's already doing this and it's put in more higher highs and higher lows, I would say this is first most probable, second most probable, and then third most probable or higher up to the weekly 10. So I would say, I would guess that it's going to hit 30,700 at least before turning back around as my most probable for the next, 36 to 48 hours is what I would say. Click this link right here if you want futures trading tips that could save your account, and click this video right here if you want to see the basis of today's video from yesterday. And you got Tim Worldwide. Peace.